Thanks for sticking with us through our weird small talk, awkward small talk.
Sierra, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I am Sierra Miller. I think, y'all know me. I work at Books with Pictures, but I also just came out with this book, Mason Mooney, Paranormal Investigator. Yeah, I'm excited to chat about it.
So yes, Mason Mooney, Paranormal Investigator. So you've been working on this book for slightly longer than I've known you. But not actually a lot longer than I've known you, which I kind of love. And it's amazing and really, really beautiful. So let's start with just sort of you said this was your thesis book. So when it was conceived, what was it conceived as?
Yeah, so for my thesis project, I wanted to do a series of short stories that were horror stories for kids, scary stories to tell in the dark type of a thing. But while that was all being conceived, it was well, this book needs a narrator. What about this weird little doodle of this kid that I did that has his heart in a jar? And it was just oh, I really like him. And he ended up being a really big part of that book as the narrator and kind of had his own little storyline in it. And so after thesis, my thesis mentor, Rilla Alexander, who's also an amazing illustrator and stuff, sent it to Flying Eye, didn't tell me or anything. And I was actually on the train on the way to school, and she messaged me and she's like, oh, Sam, who's the CEO of Flying Eye, is trying to get in touch with you. And I was like, what what are you talking about? She's like, oh yeah, I sent them Mason Mooney and stuff, and they were really interested in it. And so yeah, they called me and they're like, well, what we really like about this is this character Mason Mooney. Would you be interested in developing him further and making a book about him? So yeah, that's how it got started.
And so it's actually going to be a series of books. Is it 3?
3 books, yep.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of sketching out book 2. It's already written and stuff. And so, yeah, a lot of work to do. But
so I should say, crass commercial plug here. So my name is Katie Proctor. I own Books with Pictures in Portland, Oregon. And if you want to get a copy of the book from us, you will get a beautiful signed bookplate from Sierra. These are so adorable. They look like they came right out of a library, and I love them. So she designed these, and she will sign them for you. If you want them signed to you, you can actually weigh in the comments and be like, sign mine to whoever. And we can do that live on the stream, which would be kind of fun. But go to bookswithpictures.com, click the link for I Know What I Want, and fill out the form. It is it's the opposite of automated. We call it manual. So all that does is put your information into a spreadsheet where we will receive it, put the book together for you, send you an invoice for it, you'll pay it online. So that's how we're doing orders right now. It is not quite the same thing as having a fully operational web store, but it's what we're doing. So if you're looking to get a copy of the book, please order it there. If you want to have it signed, well, everything we send out, as long as we have these book plates, of which there are 50, they'll all get a signed book plate. But if you want it signed to you, let us know in the comments. And so that's the craft commercialism blurb, and I'll do that again probably in, we'll say, 15 minutes, for the sake of craft commercialism. Your mother says she ordered one today, and you'd better sign it for her. Yes. So that's good. That's
Lulabelle, that lovely nickname that she's using in front of everyone.
Mason is kind of terrible. I like that it is a story with a genuinely, it's not that he's not likable, he's just clearly miserable. He is a miserable human. Where was he drawn from? Is he a person you know? Is he an amalgam of children you've met? Is he you on a day?
He is definitely a little bit of me. But he really came, and I don't mean to embarrass my brother, but from my brother when he was a really little kid and stuff, and just kind of watching the world try to like make him be something that he wasn't always, and like trying to just like, I don't know, it sounds so cheesy, but take away like his spirit a little bit of like his heart and stuff. And, through school and just like telling him to conform to something that he wasn't always and stuff. And so that's kind of was the initial conception. It definitely, there's a lot of Sierra in there too, being grumpy and sassy, but yeah.
And this is one of the things I enjoy about it is the sort of combination picture book format and sequential format. So there's a lot of words. You don't put them in like blocks like traditional comics captions go sort of in rectangles. They're just sort of more on the page like a picture book format. What were you thinking about when you were putting together that style?
Well, so originally it was conceived as just straight comics, and then Flying Eye came to me and they're like, we're trying to start this new kind of book called, like, I think they call it something like a pictograph book, where it is kind of like a mishmash of picture books and comics and stuff. But it ended up being really fun. It let me do all kinds of like weird illustrations within the comics and stuff that I love, where I gotta like do really detailed stuff and different kinds of compositions and stuff. So it was fun.
Yeah, I know when Dylan McConis was working on Queen of the Sea, which has got a similar sort of, text heavy thing going on, they were marketing it as a hybrid novel. And the idea was that it was a good tool for getting educators and parents who are suspicious of graphic novels because they're not enough reading to pick up the book because there's more overt reading in it. So I did really enjoy that. Although I want any parents or educators on the stream to know that every bit of research shows that reading comics totally counts as reading.
Right.
But still, it's nice to have a meatier chunk of thing to read. Someone in the comments asks, what was your favorite page to illustrate and which one was hardest or most frustrating to get right?
I would say my favorite page is definitely Mason's office room. That was just fun because I just got to put in all my like little Easter eggs and stuff, like the Dybbuk box and Bat Boy and just all that fun stuff. So when I made this book, I used a really bad program that did not let me put text in. So I was just kind of guessing at how big the text was, and I got it all drawn out, and then the text and illustrations didn't totally fit. So there were a couple pages where I had to try to work with that. And that was definitely a little bit difficult. Like definitely like the first page where you see the town and stuff, trying to get the words to like fit with those trees and stuff was kind of a nightmare. And then I would say the other really hard pages to illustrate were Mason's flashback. So it was trying to decide like, since he's narrating, should it be in word balloons or not? And eventually I was just like, no, it's not working. None of them are in word balloons. And it caused me to get rid of some like design elements I really liked, but I think it worked for the best kind of afterwards, but yeah.
I want to be a giant fan of this spread.
That was another fun one too.
Has it's taking place in Mason's sister's room, and so she is in the middle being levitated while bound to a chair, but then it's another one of those like montages of all the children's things. Which, yeah, as someone whose
character is so me, and so I definitely just put in stuff that I love. Like there's like a Cure album in there and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of pages where they're just so visually rich and full of little characterization. There's art on the walls in a lot of places, and the art is like creepy bugs and old people, and I really, really enjoy the detail.
That was
Also,
always my editor's notes with more details, more details. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay.
also this panel that is the definition of being harassed by a pesky kid was just really, really lovely. Yeah. So what program were you working in?
I was working in Adobe Sketch, which is just for the iPad. It is basically just a sketchbook program. It was never meant for illustrating a book. There's no way to measure anything. It's terrible. I'll never, ever, ever use it again to make a book. I'm now converted to Clip Studio, but I loved, of all things, I loved a particular pencil that was a brush in there that I couldn't get anywhere else. And I was like, well, I'm addicted to this pencil. I guess this is what I'm doing. And yeah, not worth it, but somehow I made it happen. I don't know how. Yeah.
And the coloring was all in there too?
Yep. All that stupid pencil brush. Jonathan Hill harassed me a lot about my choices.
I mean, the textures in particular are amazing. So if the way you were getting the textures was with that pencil brush, I understand. But also, yes, bad software will make you crazy. Let's see. So my children told me that the least relatable thing about this story was that 3 different sets of siblings would hate each other so much because my children, of course, never argue. And anybody who was listening before we started this official stream, of course, knows that. Tell me about the sibling relationships in this story.
Well, so I will say that the ghosts really came from what time periods I wanted to draw. When I first started this book, I was like, okay, I want a ghost that's a flapper. I want a ghost that's like a stinky, like punk kid. And I want a ghost with like a big flowy ribbon. So that's kind of where those characters came from initially and stuff. And so I built the story around what I wanted to draw, better for worse. Yeah, but I mean, and I also wanted to tell the story of Iris and her sister June and stuff, because I love that even though June is like a total butt and stuff, they do love each other. And, I just wanted it to be kind of true to how siblings work and stuff, where no matter how much you fight and stuff, you really do love them deep down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this book really came from just characters that I wanted to draw, because like the villain Trent and stuff I was just like, I love Lost Boys, I love Kiefer Sutherland, and I love Unsolved Mysteries and Robert Stack. I'm creating a character that is both of these people. Oh, and I love Trent Reznor, so I'm naming him Trent. So that's how that came about. Yeah. I mean, I think all my stories and stuff kind of start with character designs and ideas for characters, and then trying to build stories around those things.
So a preview for the next one. Do we get more of the terrible Paranormal Society?
We do. We get a little bit more of them, and we get a lot more of Trent. Trent and June are kind of step up and become big cast members too, and really drive the plot forward. Just excited about, because June is my absolute favorite character. Like, she's just so terrible and says all the things that I want to say and can't say. So yeah. She just loves music and fashion, and I feel that. So
okay, we are 15 minutes in, so I'm going to have another crass commercial break where I'm going to tell you that you can buy a copy of this book at bookswithpictures.com. You will use the button which reads, I know what I want, or something like that. I'm sorry, I definitely wrote that copy. Anyway, and you will fill out a Google form, and it will send us a note that you want to buy the book, and we will send you an invoice and send it to you, or you can come pick it up. If you would like it signed to you, please tell us in the comments here, and Sierra will sign it for you here on the stream, just like we were having an event in person, only without the instant gratification, but it's all good. And yeah, so bookswithpictures.com. Sean says, was there any one thing or element that you were just not able to fit into this story?
I definitely wanted to show more of Mason ghost hunting. I wanted, yeah, a lot more of that. I love ghost adventures because it's terrible and cheesy. And I guess, this is also kind of inspired by my love of ghost like hunting shows and stuff. And so I was a little disappointed that I didn't get to have like a longer scene with him doing that and stuff and doing some more of the like really stupid ghost hunting equipment and stuff. That was definitely a bummer to cut that stuff out, but had to keep it moving.
Well, and it also, yeah, because it starts, it jumps so efficiently into the adventure, right? So we've got one page really of exposition before we get into the scene.
I see too that my brother asks, are those characters all based on you? I'm wondering if he's asking because they're all terrible and mean. No, Jack, they're not all based on me, just June and a little bit of Mason.
Laura says that the school she works at has ordered 2 of these books. Laura, should we sign to the school?
That's my Aunt Lara. My Aunt Lara.
Supportive family is the best.
It's true. I would say that Iris is really the only character, though, that isn't based on. Well, that's not true. I guess Iris is kind of based on an acquaintance. Actually, you know her too, Ingrid. It's actually how we got together. Katie was through Ingrid, but just kind of, I wanted her to just be such the opposite of Mason and just be so like sweet and inquisitive and smart without being braggy about it, and stuff. But I wanted somebody like that to be able to like find the good in Mason and like see that underneath all of his grumpiness and stuff, he's just like a really vulnerable, insecure kid and stuff, and she wants to, help him realize that, there is more to him than just wanting to be famous.
Yeah, I love how much patience she has for him. It is a very distinct character trait of hers that she is willing to wait him out, and sort of get to the heart of his whole situation. Jonathan says, can you talk about your process? Was it hard to work on a book that was a hybrid form instead of one or the other?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know if this is weird to say, but like the thing that I'm best at is writing dialogue. And so with this book, it wasn't just dialogue. It was a lot of writing as like a narrator and stuff, and trying to find that balance of like how much is going to be narrated and when do you have that break and stuff from the comics and stuff. And like finding the pacing with a book like that was like really like something I've never done before. It's either like, because I've taken some like children's book classes and written like some pitches for those. And yeah, it was really different to almost be writing in 2 different styles, and stuff and making them work together.
Did you think a lot about vocabulary choice for readability for kids, or was that sort of less a part of the thought process?
It definitely was part of the thought process, but like, I don't ever want to like talk down to kids and they listen to adult conversations and all the time and stuff. And so I didn't want to make them feel like I was pandering to them, and stuff. And there's only one note that my editor was like, I don't know about this word milk toast that's in there that the flapper says. And I was like, no, it's my favorite word. It has to stay in there no matter what.
Period appropriate, but actually it's it's spelled funny.
It is. But,
as well as being a, completely obsolete cultural reference. But they can look it up. They have Google.
That's true.
Does Iris get to ride horses at any point in the story?
That is one part of Iris that is from myself. I was also definitely a horse girl.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I feel like in book 3, there should just be like she finally gets to ride to the rescue somehow.
Right? I love that. That in the idea book for sure. Let her have her moment.
Awesome. What else? Oh, Ashley says, how is it hybridized? What we're talking about is that there's a lot of sort of picture book style words on the page as well as comics dialogue. So some pages look like this one, where they are all word balloons and dialogue. And some of the pages look like this one, where they are illustrations and sort of expository text by a narrator, but not word bubbles and dialogue. So traditional comics and sort of traditional illustrated prose, both at the same time, which is unusual.
And I definitely wanted to, like, I'll just say, make it kind of a mix of, it could be happening at any time. Like there are cell phones, but then also like Trent's videos are like VHS, and stuff. And Mason's equipment looks really like kind of dated. Yeah.
Yeah, I like his tape recorder. I did feel like we were going to break into that equipment scene in Ghostbusters at any point. Like that's clearly a reference that Mason has going on, at least.
Totally. Yeah.
Jonathan has a crush on Trent, he says.
He helped me develop Trent a little bit. I kept sending him like sketches, like, does this look dreamy enough? Like, what about this hairstyle? What about this trench coat? I will say in the next book, I'm really excited. Trent's shirt gets ripped a little bit and he's kind of wearing a belly shirt. So I think it ups the level of attractiveness. I loved like dudes in the 80s that wore belly shirts.
Sierra, you're a music person in addition to being a comics person. And we've had some music aesthetic references, but I want to know if these people have favorite bands. What is Mason's favorite band?
Oh, snap. Mason is too busy for music. I feel like he likes like Wham or something really terrible and cheesy. Like he's like a Duran Duran kind of a kid.
Oh yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah.
And what about the rest of the cast?
Boy, Iris definitely loves pop, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Sheryl Crow. Almost, I don't know.
That sounds right. No, I get that. Sort of a pop country crossover sort of vibe.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, Michelle says, where did the idea of the heart in the jar originally come from? That's a good question. It was so many years ago. It's like 4 years ago, Michelle. I think I just wanted like something a little bit gory, but kid friendly. Like I love like movies that, have kind of an edge that are horror movies and stuff, but that kids can watch. And I always like found that really intriguing as a kid and stuff, like The Gate or Gremlins or, things like that, where it was like, oh, this is for me, but like also that scene in Gremlins where the mom turns on like the microwave and blows up that gremlin and you're like, oh my God, like, so.
Yeah. Oh, Gremlins.
It's like my favorite movie.
I also really love that the heart means that Mason is always kind of encumbered. Like you never, it reminds me of the Saga, but especially like the early chapters of Saga where Fiona Staples never lets you, the viewer, forget that there's a baby. Like the baby, there is never the baby conveniently disappears for the sake of this combat scene. Instead, there's always like, you can follow where Hazel is when everybody is in combat. And I feel like you see that with Mason too, where it's like, yes, there was a bang and he's running down the hallway and he's using his equipment, but he's also carrying this heart. And it's, in the page before, it's just like very conspicuously on the table. So I love that you can sort of track the heart on all of the pages.
That
And
was something I had not really thought about when I designed Mason. It was like, oh my God, he has to have this thing in his hands all the time. And like,
yeah.
because when it's kind of like you're, making these people act and stuff. And so, you want to do like big, broad gestures, but it's like, no, he always has to have this thing. And in my next book, he has the case with him because it plays an important part and stuff. So he has his heart and his case, and he's like trying to, I'm just like, I don't know what to do. You're setting this down, maybe? I hope so. Yeah.
But the heart is even like here when he's running up the stairs, the heart also has its own little, like almost, it's not dialogue, but it's the heart is talking on the page.
Yeah, it really became its own character in the book and stuff. And it was really fun and stuff to think that, it's thumping and stuff, and Mason knows exactly what it's saying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like he can talk to animals, but not actually animals, just this one animal, which is his own heart. Let's see. Laura would like them made out to Poison Spider School. Poison Spider School, really?
Yeah.
That is like the creepiest, amazing name.
And their like little mascot is a poison spider, like a black widow spider. It's pretty awesome.
Can you draw a poison spider on the book plate for them, Sierra?
I will. I'll do it. I'll do that too, Joe, for sure.
Put my name on a book.
I don't know why he's Tom on here, but he's Joe.
Tom, who is also Joe.
Yeah. Well, we're almost at a half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Do we plug it again?
We should. Okay, so this book is Mason Mooney.
I know.
Mooney, Paranormal Investigator by our author guest, Sierra Miller. It is available at all fine book-selling outlets now, and if you want to get it from us here at Books with Pictures, you can do so by going to our website, bookswithpictures.com, and filling out a form. And if you weigh in the comment section here, Sierra will make out a book plate especially to you. And that's it. That's the crass commercial break. Oh, it's $12.99. That's the other important thing we should say, that it costs $12.99. Who is the audience that you had in mind, Sierra, when you were making this book? Who's the ideal reader?
Myself, when I'm 11 years old. No, definitely like kids that like something like a little bit spooky. I mean, horror comedy is my favorite and stuff. And I think as a kid and stuff, you're always a little bit intrigued by scary stuff. But, I also wanted it to be funny and warm. And so just kids that are a little bit weird, like I was.
Can you, if I hold it up, can you talk us through the Mason's office? Can you tell us the things that are in it?
Yes. I'll try. Some of it was just...
Fill my screen up with it so that our viewers can see, and then you can just tell us.
Okay. The box with the grapes and the chains, that is the Dybbuk box, which is actually a real haunted object that I'm obsessed with. I figure that the picture next to it is like his grandma. There's Bat Boy. These other little newspaper clippings. One of those is from what's that super famous haunted house that has like the eyes. There's like a movie about it. Wow, that's really good. Good job there. There's like the Loch Ness Monster. There is sage to burn and two-headed snakes. And then his little like board that's up against the window is kind of about like the reptilians that have taken over Earth and stuff. So I used like a little bit of all of that. I watched a lot of conspiracy videos about that to make that board. There's Mothman, and then his notebook is all about Bigfoot. We've got maps and stuff. The little symbol that's on that purple piece of paper on his desk is kind of a hint for the next book, which is exciting. He has garlic. There's just all kinds of
objects. Let's see. And then a forgotten cup of tea, as all great scholars keep around.
That's taken from True Life, where there's always like 10 forgotten cups of tea on my desk. Oh, Michelle, I'm so proud of you. You got an Amityville Horror House. That's amazing. Michelle does not like scary stuff, so I'm very impressed with her.
Okay.
Wow. Do we want to kind of start wrapping up since we're at about a half an hour?
That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
Well,
this is really fun and cool that I got to do it with you and stuff.
Yeah, I'm very happy to I'm proud as punch. Nick will tell you, I've been bragging on you in the store whenever anybody comes in.
That's so nice. And I think I talked about Mason Mooney, my interview with you, which is funny.
Excellent. Yeah. So thank you so much for doing this with me. Do you want to give any shout outs to our audience here before we sign off?
Yes, thank you all for coming. I love all of you people. It means so much. And thank you for helping me make this book, everybody there. Definitely Michelle and Glenn and my mom and Jonathan and my Aunt Dana and just everybody. Thank you guys so much. All right.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing all, this one take the charts by storm and all the next things that are coming from you too, Sierra.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.